Welcome to Orange County Power Players, where we spotlight the personal, professional, and financial success stories of OC's top leaders. Here's your host, Danny Flores.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Danny Flores with OC Power Players, and today we have Rieva Lesonsky zooming in from Irvine with us. Rieva owns a small business Current, which is a custom content creation company focusing on small businesses and entrepreneurship. They create content for small business websites and major marketeers wanting to connect to entrepreneurs. Welcome, Rieva. Thanks so much for coming on with us.
Thanks, Danny. It's great to be with you.
So tell us a little bit about your business and what you do and how you got there.
Well, my business is, I have a website, smallbusinesscurrents.com. But my business is basically, I'm a writer, and I write about small business and entrepreneurship for my site, for allbusiness.com, for corporations, who want to reach small business owners and entrepreneurs. I have been talking to that market since 1978, before people could pronounce the word entrepreneur in America. Mostly, starting out at Entrepreneur Magazine, I was the editorial director there for over 25 years. And about almost 16 years ago, just went out on my own, started my own company to produce content, and still love it, because I think that small business owners really need help, right? There's so much out there, and It's almost impossible for one person to just consume it all or know it.
Right. No, you're absolutely correct. I mean, it's just like, and it keeps getting like more different sources, and from social media and another one. It's just like so hard to keep up with all the resources that are available to all of us.
Yes, technology, right, which makes life easy.
And so now, how do you pick? Yes, easy in a sense, and more work.
Yes.
So the question is, how do you keep up? But you said you write about small businesses to put on your website.
I don't write about the businesses themselves. I write about information that they can use, right? About how they can, do things smarter, do things faster, do something else, because whatever they're doing has been replaced by something else that's more efficient. So it's mostly advice and helpful information. Right now, I'm in the middle of and I also, like I said, write for allbusiness.com. And right now on allbusiness.com, I'm in the middle of, I don't know how many parts this is going to be. So far, 3 parts have been published, 2 parts are in the queue, and 1 or 2 parts are to come of predictions for 2025. And it's really interesting because we separated them into like workplace predictions and, right now I'm working on AI predictions. I haven't published that yet. And, just there's so much that people are saying is even going to change this year for small business owners, things to keep an eye on. And AI, the raw information before I start editing it down in the AI article is like 3,700 words. There's just so much out there. And so I view my job as a way to convey that information in a way quickly that small business owners can quickly look at, act on, and move on to something else.
Right. No, that I'm sure that's so helpful to be able to kind of bring it all into one spot, and you can quickly read it and figure out what's relevant for you and what you can't use, and then just kind of go from there.
Yeah. One of the things, if you don't mind me sort of jumping ahead here, is one of the things that we need to be aware of. So I was in the middle of preparing a presentation about what's hot for next year, and found out all of a sudden there's a new demographic, a a new generation was named for this year. And like, I had no idea, and I'm sure most people don't. And it's just generational marketing in and of itself is just like a whole science. And so, it's just the kind of thing people need to know and go, oh, okay. Now, who's your market? If you don't define your market, you really don't know what they want and how to sell to them.
Right. No, that definitely makes. Now, do you remember what that new generation's name is? I know I read it, but I can't remember.
It's Generation Beta. So because we have the man, it's really fascinating. The man who defined Generation Alpha, which today are kids, right? Kids born, I think, from 2001 to 2024, approximately. He's a demographer, and he was tired of names like millennials. He thinks names need to be straightforward, and he was also tired of generations not having defined dates. The only generation that actually has defined dates that everyone agrees on is the original baby boom generation. And everything else is kind of like mushy out there. So he was tired of it. So he decided everything's going to have a letter. So he went to the Greek alphabet. So we have Alpha. Beta started this year, will end in 2039. And next, he's already decided Gamma starts in 2040 and so on. It's really fascinating.
Wow, yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, demographers is an interesting job because they get to see a lot of trends.
Yes. Yes.
Way before we see them, right? And it's interesting because then you know where the growth is and direction of population changes in.
Yeah. And his whole contention is what not enough businesses look at is how technology affects the way people buy, and that it has a direct impact on how businesses need to market to people. Because if you just keep, if you keep marketing the way you always have, because it's working, right? All of a sudden you have a new generation that is either used to a different kind of media, uses a different media. So you're using your old methods of communication and you're missing out on potentially millions of consumers because they are consuming data a different way. And so it's really fascinating, how you have to be aware of that so you can change and expand your own marketing techniques.
Right. No, that definitely makes sense because it's so fluid right now. It's not like the old days that you can just use the yellow pages and you're set, or you run ads in the penny saver. I mean, these are like old school ways of advertising. That doesn't work anymore.
No, it doesn't. It really doesn't. And there's so many like you can say whatever. Like 10 years ago, we started saying social media marketing is important. So you need to market on social media. But different demographics are on different social mediums. So one size doesn't fit all there either, so you need to be, like I said, keenly aware of who's buying your product and the specific outlets to reach those people. And then if you want to expand your market, you have to figure out, okay, where can I tiptoe in, because you don't want to jump in without, experimenting and making sure you're in the right place and expand, and that market actually wants what you're selling.
Exactly, right. You have to make sure that you understand your demographics for your product and find them on the correct platform.
Yes. What's interesting? So Pinterest, right? I don't know how many of your listeners are familiar with Pinterest, but Pinterest has been around a long time. It's kind of a mall, right? People go there. It was overwhelmingly female dominated here in America, and the rest of the world it was more even. But people go there to buy stuff. Like, you as a business owner, you would list your stuff, you hashtag it, so people coming on search for it. And then it kind of, people started not really using it. And the other couple of weeks ago, my niece, who had just bought a new house, told me, well, I'm going to create a Pinterest board for, pinning furniture that she wanted. And she's a millennial, right? She's one of the younger, the older millennials are in their mid 40s. She's in her 30s. And then last week, my friend's daughter, who's only 22, said, well, I'm going to create a Pinterest board. So that made me start thinking, like, wait, are people using it again? And I did some research, and Pinterest is making a huge comeback among Gen Z. Their usage rates among the 20 and 30-year-olds has like skyrocketed hundreds of percentage points. So, yeah. So, yeah, also, one of the things I think business owners sometimes forget to do is just listen, like ask your kid a question, ask, your neighbor's kid, just ask and see what people are using. Because if my niece and my friend's kid hadn't said anything, I wouldn't have even thought about it.
Right. Yeah. It's interesting. I guess, yeah, you got to ask, because obviously we don't know. We can't keep up with that because it changes.
Right.
So now in your business, is there a lot of competition in what you do, and what makes you stand out above the rest?
There is a lot of competition. I think what makes me stand out is, one, that I've been in this business essentially longer than anybody that I'm aware of. Like I said, I actually started at Entrepreneur Magazine in 1978. And so I have the unique privilege, I guess, of watching the whole evolution of entrepreneurship and seeing how it's grown and changed. And I developed, a reputation over that time. A lot of people knew me from the magazine, have known me, since I was pretty visible, and I still try to get out there. I do a lot of work for SCORE, which is a great organization. And so my competitive edge, I guess, is the fact that I've just been doing it for so long that it's interesting to have that perspective of saying, in the old days, like 30 years ago, when people weren't even paying attention to entrepreneurs until the mid 90s, really. And so, it's been interesting to see the peaks and valleys and how people treat it differently.
Yeah, and how it's evolved now that, like, it's all over social media, being an entrepreneur. And here's the funny thing, is that they paint it to like it's so glamorous, and it's not.
No.
It's a position to be in, right?
Yeah, it's hard work. When I was growing up, my dad owned a store in Queens, New York, and it wasn't in a mall; it was pre-malls. And then when the mall opened, he decided he didn't want to go to the mall. But so I grew up, like I say, as a retail brat. So this was he owned a store before, while there were still blue laws in New York, so you weren't allowed to be open on Sunday. So my world consisted of my father going to work 6 days a week. Some days the store was open late, so he wouldn't be home for dinner. And it took me well into my teens to realize that not everybody's father was like this. Some people went on a train and came home at 5 o'clock, commuted into New York City or something. And so my whole world was small business. My grandfather's owned stores, that's what I knew. And so it was really interesting to like, oh, there's a whole corporate world out there. And believe me, where people say, oh, it's start a business, there's so many components to owning a business that you need to know and be aware of, that it's not easy. And that's why there's a lot of organizations out there that can help you, a lot of places you can get free advice from. And why, like I said, I love to do what I do, because I get to help people.
Right. And then the other thing is, you got to have nerves of steel to weather the storms.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Because you don't have, like when you think about it, right? You think about the advent of technology. And like I said, technology makes our jobs a whole lot easier.
Mhm.
But if you work in a corporation, you got an IT department, right? Something goes wrong, you pick up the phone, somebody's at your desk, and they
Yeah,
fix your problem. Now
done.
something goes wrong. What do you do? I'm like, I have a friend like who I'm like I'm Googling, texting with him or Googling, like, how do I do this? What's my answer to this? I don't know what to do because I don't have an IT department. And I think that's kind of shocking for startups when they start. It's like their whole support system is gone. You're your own support system, and you've got to get used to that or find people who can support you in the areas that you need it.
Right. And all it does is just cost money.
Yeah,
That's it.
exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. And so you got to go out and make that money so that you can have enough to cover your overhead. Right.
Exactly. I was once interviewing somebody who started a new payroll company. And the company turned out to be Gusto, which is pretty big today. But I interviewed him when he just started, and I said, "Why are you starting a payroll company? There's already big players out there. Like, why are you coming into this crowded market?" And he said, "I'm not going after the established people, but I'm going after the little guy, the person who doesn't know that there are like 115,000 different codes and things that you need to know." And he said, what business owner has time to learn that? It's like too complicated. You got, outsource it and let us do it for you. And obviously, like I said, today they're Gusto, so they're big. So he was on to the right idea, which I think was a great lesson in, when you're trying to figure out what market to go to. Just because there are big players in the market doesn't mean there's not room for new entries in the market if you're targeting a specific part of that market.
Right. Right. Exactly. You can there's always room. You just have to find
Yeah,
the group that you can help.
yeah, exactly.
So what comes easy to you that you think others would struggle a little bit more on? What do you
Um,
feel that?
well, for me, I'm what comes easy for me is communicating, writing, speaking. A lot of people are terrified of public speaking, giving a speech, giving a presentation, or writing something. And that has always come easy for me ever since I was little. What does not come easy for me is accounting, anything like numbers are kind of intimidating. Like, I'm like, what? How do I do that? So
Yeah.
I recommend have a good accountant, have a really good accountant because they'll be your best friend.
Right. 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 Yeah. Everybody has their cup of tea
Yeah. Yes. And that's
and what
important
comes
too.
easier to them.
That's important too. Um, like when you're hiring, like when, after you've started and you're doing well, and maybe you're in the hiring process, is to make sure you diversify you don't want to hire somebody just like you because you already have you. You want to
Right.
hire somebody who is strong where you're weak. So if you're a numbers idiot, hire a numbers person because you don't know them, this person is going to. And so I always think that that's really important advice. So many people, when they go to hire somebody or even look for a business partner, think
Mhm.
it's like marriage, like, oh, I got to find someone who's just like me. Like, no, you want to find someone, same work ethic, definitely, but not the same skill set.
Right. Right. Yes. So somebody that compliments you.
Yes. Yeah.
That's yes, for sure. For you just get stronger that way with a team that can do that for you.
Right. Right. Your company becomes a lot stronger that way. And the more that you can take that off your plate, the more that you can spend doing the things that are really important. A business can't survive without cash flow, a pipeline. You need people, customers, whether you're a B2B or a B2C, you
Right.
need the same things. And so someone has to concentrate on that and not worry about the other stuff. So it's good if you're good at that, then hire someone to do the other stuff.
Right, exactly. So now if somebody's listening to us, part of our audience, and they want to get into the type of business that you do, what suggestions do you have? What path should they take, as far as maybe studying in college, or types of jobs they can look for so they can do something to that effect that they passionately like?
I'm going to say something kind of controversial here and say I wouldn't recommend getting into my business. I was a journalism major in college. I worked for a magazine. For a book publisher was my first job at a college, and then I've worked for a magazine. And for the last 15 years, I've been doing this on my own with websites, and that whole business, the whole business of publishing magazines and websites is changing. Magazines are almost gone, right? There's still some left, but it's not like it used to be at all. Sales are not what they used to be. There's a lot of really famous brands, like when I was in J school, that they used to talk about. Here's in the women's publishing, here's the Seven Sisters, and they were just iconic names. And I think of the Seven Sisters, maybe there's one left, possibly two. I just know off my top of my head, I just know that Good Housekeeping is left, and I'm not sure about the others. So it's not one of my friend's daughters, different daughter, said this is what she wanted to, because her mom grew up in this business. She wanted to go into the magazine business, and I told her, you just can't. It's not a good business to go into. So today you see a lot of people starting their own platforms on places like Substack and other places, but I don't know. Looking back, I had a great career. I'm not sure that could be replicated today, because it's an industry that has seen its better days, I think.
Right.
Sadly.
I know that's great advice, because you're just basically telling it like it is. And so if somebody was thinking about it, they can kind of detour and look for something different, right? Along a different line in that case. So
Yeah,
now what's go ahead.
no, I was just going to say, it's just assessing what your skills are and finding a different place to put them to work.
Right. Exactly. Something that you like, something that you can be passionate about, and just finding it out, right? It's different times, and things are done a little bit different. So yeah, just and have fun doing it, right? That's the idea.
Right. You have to pivot, right? When I was growing up, like if you had asked me, like when I was in my 20s, like what would I want to do? My whole dream was to start a kids' bookstore. And I had the whole concept in my head, I knew how I wanted it to be. I had the name, I had how it was going to be laid out. And then, just like in that movie with Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan, the
Right.
the big superstores, and then Amazon came in and eliminated a lot of those bookstores. And I think there's several that are still thriving in America, but I think the place that independent bookstores look like they're thriving the most is on the Hallmark Channel. Like Hallmark movies always feature like independent bookstores, and it looks so awesome, it looks so romantic and so terrific, but it's a hard business today.
Oh yeah, for sure. Everything's electronic, right? Audiobooks,
Yes.
and they're all on Amazon. They're sold on Amazon. Everything's on Amazon. They have a big footprint.
Yeah.
So what would be one of your biggest challenges that you had to overcome in your career?
Well, being a woman of a certain age, lot of sexism. I mean, just a tremendous amount. I was, as far as I know, the first woman to be the editor of a general business magazine. So there were people who told me on the way up, there'll never be a woman editor of this, or because my name is so unusual. Somebody once had me wanted me to speak or something. I don't really remember the details. And I showed up at this place. I think they had done all the negotiating with my secretary. And I showed up and they were shocked I was not a man. Like they really expected a guy. And so there was a lot of that as I rose through the ranks. And I don't think it would have been possible if I hadn't been here in California. If I'd been in where all the regular publishers are, I don't think it would have happened.
Right.
So I think, that was fortuitous for me, timing, place, and that. But there was a lot more of that than people probably think there was. A lot.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of a tough thing and a terrible thing that you had to go through that. But
Yeah.
but you made it.
Yeah,
Right?
but you do it, right? And I think it's just, again, it's back to generational, right? It's because of my age that I was on the first, that leading group of baby booming women, the oldest, who were out there, who actually wanted to be in the workforce, who actually wanted to, as a whole, not that there weren't women who wanted that before, but as a whole, as a generation who wanted to establish careers. And sometimes it took a long time to get everybody in America used to that, right? It's like, wait, who are these people? Why are they here? What are they doing? And it's very interesting to look back at that. I've written a couple of articles about that, and about, the original feminists, Betty Friedan, and stuff like that, and what they were fighting for. And people think it was so radical, but it was just give women a place in the workforce. That's not radical,
Be
right?
fair. Be fair to us. That's it.
Yeah. And I think that hopefully, the beauty of entrepreneurship, I've always said, is that it's the place where prejudice, whether it's sexist or ethnic or whatever, it kind of fades away if you can provide a product that people want at a price that they're willing to pay. Nobody really cares who you are. It's just about, here's something I want. I'm going to buy it as a consumer. And so it's a lot. It makes it, particularly online, because now you're really kind of anonymous. It makes it a lot easier to do business than trying to climb your way in a corporation where they don't want women, they don't want people of color, or there's only, we have 3 slots for those people. That kind of thing. That's what makes entrepreneurship so appealing, I think.
Right. Yes. And then the other thing is you rise as high as you want.
Yes.
Right? You don't have to for promotions and earn, and maybe you are qualified, but maybe you just aren't 100% friends with the right person. They like somebody else that's less qualified. Entrepreneurship is all you, 100%.
Right.
It's like, if you don't make it, it's because of you. If you make it and you do very well, it's because of you.
Right. And you get to define as success, right? It's not about achieving a title or something in a corporation. It's about what you want, what fulfills you as a person. And maybe you want a life where you don't have to, where you can take afternoons off to see your kid play Little League or whatever. That's your life. You get to define that life. And I think that that's really part of the appeal.
Right. Now it seems like you've done really well. You've enjoyed your career. And congratulations on that. Now, there's entrepreneurs such as yourselves look sometimes for alternative ways of investing passively so they can supplement their income or help prepare them for retirement. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that's a really good idea. I think one, you should have a good financial advisor, where you create a retirement account where you're going to regularly, again, at a corporation, they have HR come down and help you do that. As an entrepreneur, you got to find the right person to help you do that. And then if you have a little extra money, kind of like be willing to play with it. I've never said this out loud to anybody, but a friend and I don't know how many years ago, 20 years ago, 15 years ago, decided to invest like $1,000 in like one of those do-it-yourself stock accounts and
Uh-huh.
just said, hey, let's just pick some companies and do it. And so we were all in. We invested, I think, $3,500, $3,000. I can't remember. Right now, the account's in the $100,000 range. And it's just fun. Like it's just extra fun money. I was very lucky to buy
Yeah,
Facebook low. So
that's impressive. That's like huge.
yeah, it went down to like 19 and I'm like, I'm going to buy some shares. I don't have a lot of shares, but enough that it's made me a good amount of money.
Yeah, yeah, nothing wrong with that. That's awesome.
Yeah. So, I mean, part of it you should be very serious about.
Right.
And part of it, if you haven't, I figure, what did I invest? I think I invested $1,500. Well, I can afford to lose at that time $1,500. So what the heck? And sometimes it works. And of course, here in Orange County, real estate I mean, now it's not fun. It's hard. Be hard to find a fun investment, but a lot of wealth made in this county in the last 30 years from real estate, right?
Right. Yes. Yes. And that's not just Orange County. That's all over, I think,
Yeah,
in different places. Real estate team turns to do well over time.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, as we wrap up the interview, what does 2025 look like for you? What's exciting coming around the corner?
Well, for me, I'm just going to continue to do what I continue to do. Like I said, it's been a little bit well, it's a little bit harder right now. So I'm trying to expand, what I do, maybe add some video. I'm exploring starting a Substack. There's the numbers from the government in the last 2.5 years about the number of startups, people registering to start companies has been enormous. So I think that maybe there's a lot of people there who
Mhm.
need some extra startup advice. So I'm thinking of launching a Substack in that area. I'm still exploring it. So I just think you just gotta see. You have to again keep your eyes and ears open to what the trends are and what's going on. Like if you're a retailer right now, or if you're thinking of getting into retail, the numbers, they're not out yet from the NRF, the National Retail Federation, but the numbers that we've seen out from other places, MasterCard released some numbers, Adobe released some numbers from holiday sales, where that holiday sales grew. They were predicted to grow and they did, but online sales grew like 2.5 times more than in-store sales.
Mhm.
So it's no longer, is online going to succeed? It's online sales are there, and whether you have a store or whether you're just going to launch a business, having a website is 100% required. An e-commerce site where you can sell yours as
Yeah, yeah, for
retail.
sure.
Yeah, where you can sell your stuff.
Yeah, I think statistically for any brick and mortar store, half of their sales should be coming from online.
Yeah,
If they're not, then they have issues. They're falling behind behind the times, and they have to figure it out.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much, Rieva, for coming online and sharing your story. Definitely an interesting story. If somebody wanted to get a hold of you, how can they get a hold of you?
You can email me. It's Rieva, RIEV, as in Victor, at smallbusinesscurrents.com. Or you can find me at Rieva on Blue Sky and Twitter. I won't call it X. So you can find me there, or look for me on LinkedIn at Rieva Lesonsky. And I try to reply to all email and all social media messages. Don't look for, I'm on Facebook, but don't communicate with me there because I won't see it because I hardly ever go on there.
All right, fair enough. Well, thanks so much for coming on, Rieva.
Thank you, Danny. It was really great to be with you.
Yes.
Thanks for listening to Orange County Power Players. Want to share your success story? Apply to be a guest at ocpowerplayers.com/guest.